Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Content Panda use case webinar series. Our September use case is Content Panda for Microsoft Teams. I'd like to thank you for joining us. Today on our webinar, my name is Heather Newman. I'm CMO and co-founder of Content Panda. I'm a Microsoft MVP and been in the SharePoint and Office 365 space for a very long time. And today, coming to you from Las Vegas on site at an event, so in a hotel, doing webinars on the fly. And with me is Simi and Kathy. Simi, you want to say hello really quick?
Hello, folks.
Simi's our CEO and my business partner and co-founder, and he and I are going to talk to you today a little bit about Microsoft Teams and Content Panda. So with no further ado, a couple of things coming up for us. We are going to be at Microsoft Ignite. We are not exhibiting, but I will be there doing a lot with our diversity in tech track that we're having at Microsoft Ignite. So I will be in that diversity and tech lounge quite a bit. I have 2 sessions, a meetup and a podcast that are all happening there. So excited to be back at Ignite. So hopefully those of you who are going, please do give me a shout. I'd love to say hello. Also, I'm speaking at SharePoint Saturday San Juan in Puerto Rico coming up in November. We're having a diversity and inclusion panel there, and there's going to be a lot of great speakers, MVPs, Microsoft folks with that. So those are a couple of things that are on the calendar for us. And thank you for joining us for this webinar series. We are doing the first Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. PST every month, and we are going through different use cases for Content Panda. And anytime, even if you can't attend, if you would please register, then you can view them on demand anytime. So I love it having you live, but if you can't be live, we're happy to make sure you know what's going on demand. So definitely check that out. Those are up on our website under our resources page up there. So just a quick introduction to Content Panda. Content Panda being an industry choice for reducing support and training costs. Many of you, I think I see some familiar faces and names on the webinar, so thanks for coming back again. And for those of you who are new to us, who got a recommendation, saw us on social, we really look at reducing support and training costs. We accelerate user adoption and onboarding users by providing an in-context and on-demand app inside of Office 365 and SharePoint. And our 3 key components, our three pillars, if you will, are looking at how do we simplify training and reduce those support costs inside of IT departments and then also for human resources. We also work very closely with Microsoft about driving end user adoption and productivity. And we also like working with the corporate communications teams on promoting that governance and IT teams on policies inside of SharePoint and Office 365. So that's what we're bringing to the table with our value proposition if you want to be all marketing-y about it. So what we also do is we're driving education and that end user adoption across all the different types of learning paths and experience. From our experience with our customers, we work a ton with them on just the human side of software and the human side of how people work. And so we have these really great partnerships with Combined Knowledge, who has on-demand training, and their product Support Plus is connected into ours, and we have all of their beautiful content and videos, which you will see as part of our Content Panda offering. They're one of the best in the business as far as training and videos and content, and we've been working with them a really long time to bring you the best and the best of the information that is coming out, you know, super quick from Microsoft and being able to speak to it inside of our products. Content Panda is that in-context piece. We're inside the UI. We're right there at folks' fingertips. And so we provide that sort of underlay of whenever you need it, on-demand, self-service, just in time, if you will, kind of help and support. And then we also partner with MindSharp, and MindSharp does a lot of the in-person training. Many of you know Brian Alderman, who's an MVP and has all kinds of acronyms after his name. We work with them too, knowing that, you know, people learn in different ways, and we try and address all those different ways with our partnerships and also with our products. So with the Content Panda use cases that we've been going through in our different webinar series, we took on corporate communications last time, and I think before that we were in end user support. And this time we're featuring Microsoft Teams. And as we move along, we'll be featuring these other use cases in our webinars coming up as we move through the rest of the year. A few resources for Microsoft Teams. If you're working in Office 365, I know you're probably looking at the roadmap, but if you're not, please do. Both the roadmap and also the message center are really important places where you can get information about what's happening, what's coming, and when. Also the Microsoft technical community, that's got great blogs and forums all about driving adoption. There's a champions corner. It's really great if you haven't been up there. You can find out about events and you can get additional training. Definitely go up and be a part of that community. It's very vital and very vivid as far as how people are interacting with it. There's also a Teams user voice. User voice came around a few years ago when Microsoft felt like the connection wasn't there necessarily between customers and people as far as hearing about features and tools and functionality that we all want, and even as partners and even as MVPs, that we were like, hey, we really want a more direct contact to the product teams and the engineering team. So when you go to user voice, you can go and vote and also submit something. If you're like, oh, I really want to see XYZ, you can go and see if somebody else has submitted that. And if they have, you can vote on it. And that voting helps push things up in the list. So it's a really great place to have your voice be heard and also help others have their voices be heard. So definitely check it out. There's Teams, there's Planner, all of them. There's user voices for just about everything you can imagine the Microsoft stack. And then Success with Teams is a really great area too. It's really specific to Microsoft Teams. There's a champions program that I know Kara Wanagatima, who's the principal program manager for Microsoft Teams. She and I collaborate on a lot of things, especially in the diversity space, and she runs a lot of these programs, and they're awesome. So if you haven't been in there yet, definitely take care of that on a moment when you want to get a little bit more information. And it also is including the Skype for Business transition, which I'll talk about a little bit in a moment. So these are some really great resources for you that we wanted to make sure and share before we got into everything. So what is Microsoft Teams? Microsoft Teams is a platform that combines, all these great things: chat, meetings, notes, attachments, being able to communicate with each other. The service integrates into your Office 365 subscription. It includes Office and lots of features with and integrations with non-Microsoft products in the way of apps. It launched in March 2017, and then recently in July, a free version of Microsoft Teams was announced, and that has a little bit of restriction. There's up to 300 users with about 2 gigs per user and 10 gigs per shared storage. So if you're interested and you haven't looked at Teams yet, or you wanted to get Teams, there's definitely a bunch of different ways to do it. With if you have an E3 or an E5 license, it's all included in there. But you can go Teams licensing, and you can go check that out online and get all the information about that. This is a slide that Microsoft uses to explain sort of how all this stuff fits together. And if you look at this, there's sort of this, what they call an inner loop and an outer loop. And this slide changes kind of every day, I think, depending on who's talking about it. But really thinking about email is, if you equate email to me, to yourself, and that's really where you are in Outlook, where things are pertinent to you. And if you think about Teams as that inner loop, which is the we, so like you and I, or all of us, say on this webinar, could collaborate on a team project. And these are people who you work with sort of regularly, maybe to do event planning, sales team coordination, all that sort of thing. And then when you're looking at Yammer, which is the outer loop, that's more that's like an organizational communication or leadership connections and communities of practice. It's even, all of us at the company who like dogs, that kind of thing. And then the underbelly of it all, of course, is SharePoint, and that's where your files, your sites, and your content and all that sort of thing lives. And then underneath that, you have Office 365 groups, which gives you, cross-application group membership. So you'll see this slide a lot, and it's continually morphing and changing, but this is how Microsoft is speaking about this stack. And if you look at sort of the universal toolkit for teamwork with Microsoft Teams, it really does include all of these things. It does include Outlook and its calendaring. It's obviously got SharePoint and OneDrive. We've got Planner in there for task and project management. We've got Office apps in Yammer with that, co-authoring and that broader communication, meetings, chat, voice, and video, and then all the third-party apps that you can bring into the different areas of SharePoint and Teams. And all of that, again, has underneath it Microsoft 365 Hub, the Microsoft Graph, and all the security and compliance that actually goes with all of that stuff. So Microsoft Teams is still fairly new. A lot of people are moving to it. A lot of people are bringing it into their organization. And in talking with the Microsoft team and our own clients, you know, the successful adoption of the teams, it really kind of, it's a change in behavior. It's more, I think it's definitely more than a product. It's a really different way of working, and it's about people. And what we're really excited about with Content Panda is that we're bringing that contextualized on-demand help and guidance with the understanding of people and how they think. And so when you're bringing some sort of training into it, it's really making it easy for them to get through the training or the 1, 2, 3 step information that they need, instead of sort of, you know, again, when you're doing adoption, just throwing software out there to people to use is not the way to do it, right? So having a plan that is, you know, like a campaign, and I talk about this a lot when I go and present out into the world at SharePoint Saturdays and stuff, of really using, you know, those 10-step checklists that we have up on our Content Panda site of putting together that campaign. And I think Content Panda, as it works in context, is a really great way to marry one of those campaigns to the actual 1, 2, 3 steps and different areas in there, which Simeon's going to show you. So that kind of leads me into our demo, Simeon and Kathy. So I'm going to switch off and out and get my GoToMeeting up here, and I'm going to take us into a demo. So, and make you a presenter and all that fun stuff. So, all right. Ready, Freddie?
Okay. Let's see here. Heather, are you on mute on your speakers and your microphone?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
All right. And can you see my screen? Yes. Awesome. All right, cool. Thanks for joining, everybody. I'm excited to show you guys some new breaking functionality in Content Panda. Historically, for gosh, the last 5, 6 years, we've offered context-sensitive help inside SharePoint and other custom applications. It's been fairly difficult to get that same experience inside some of the Microsoft Online web applications, but now we've got a solution for that, and this is the first public sneak peek of this. So we're excited to show this off. And Heather mentioned earlier, we are sitting here in Vegas. We're about to go to a show floor for a technology conference here for drones, which is very exciting. And I think what do they say? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, what happens in Teams stays in Teams as well. So I'm going to show you guys how you can capture information, share information, and make that available to everybody in your organization through a little Content Panda demo here. So the first thing I want to do is just kind of go out to our intranet. So this might be the starting point that most people are used to, is a SharePoint site with a bunch of subsites and some corporate information. I am looking at my Wi-Fi signal right here, and it looks like it kind of keeps going up and down. So I'm not sure if this is going to work out very well, but we'll give it a try here. Everything was working about 20 minutes ago before the webinar. So of course, here we go. So the first thing I want you to notice that sort of jumps out at in this demo is a notification that is driven by me configuring Content Panda to let my users know that as they enter this site that there's confidential information here. So be aware, do not share this information with anybody. This is a great way some of our customers get information out quickly. We have customers who have multiple hospitals, and when there's a quarantine or there's some news, some maintenance news, they pop up these dialogues for all users, and these can be configured to show up every time a user comes to the site, just to remind them that, hey, here's our policy, or just the first time they come to the site. And I'll show you guys in Microsoft Teams how that can be really powerful. So as a user, I'm just going to close this dialogue, and I'm going to show you a couple of key features that will sort of transpose into Microsoft Teams. Number one, I want to show you how you can configure Content Panda to drive kind of a user tour or help users onboard. Human resources seems to be the department that's most popular for trying to drive this kind of communication. And again, it looks like, yeah, my network's a little slow, but what Content Panda is doing here is saying, hey, user, okay, this is your first time here. someone has configured me to show you some dialogue. So the first one says, welcome. Hey, it's your first time here. Let me show you around. I click next. My HR director wants me to see that wants to point out this is where I'm going to request personal time off. So this dialogue here that's attached is a Content Panda dialogue. I click next, and here's one pointing to ergonomics in the workplace and some interesting information for me. Here's my employee benefits calculator. Here's my orientation. So for the first 60 days of my employment, I should probably go in here, fill out my forms, do that sort of thing. And finally, a note from our CEO says, hey, thank you for joining the company. We're excited you're here. The next thing I want to show you guys is how you can drive some best practices and policies using Content Panda into your employee teams. In a particular use case that we got from one of our customers on their legal site, they were complaining that their executive team and some of their employees were uploading documents in wrong file formats, not the right file names, and in various Excel, PowerPoint, and Word formats. But they wanted everybody to convert to PDF. So what we did is we helped them create this little Panda pop-up here that's every time somebody comes to the site, and because people only come once or twice, maybe 3 times a year, it pops up every time and says, hey, follow our policy. And here's a link to that policy if you want to know more information. And here's a quick video from YouTube that shows you how to quickly convert to PDF. Now, in this company, this customer of ours, they had previously had lunch meetings where they would show people how to do this. They would send emails explaining what they should do. And while it was somewhat effective, this has been the most effective way for them to drive this kind of compliance. All right, and finally, what I want to show you is how to access context-sensitive help. Now, Content Panda, if you just install Content Panda and you do nothing, it comes with a lot of out-of-the-box content. And so the most important thing you can tell your users is, hey, if you have any questions at all, before you go searching the web, before you get a hold of the IT team, just go over here and click on the Panda and turn on help. And what this does is it scours the page that the user is on, and it looks for to map any of the help content that's available to the user interface in SharePoint. So you see all these little pandas pop up. Here's some information on how to create documents. There's links, there's videos. Here it'll teach somebody how to search the web for this specific topic. Our most popular one that we see on our analytics in the back end is this share button. When people are sharing a site, it turns out that people get a little nervous about, well, gosh, I want to make sure I do this right. And with our partnership with Combined Knowledge that Heather mentioned earlier, we link a user, we log them in to our learning platform and take the user directly to that topic. So if I click that, the user doesn't have to remember where their online training is. They don't have to remember a special login and a username and password to get to it. And then they also don't have to go navigate through hundreds of topics to get to the right one. We take them directly to the topic that they just clicked on. And we also know through research that people learn in different ways. Some people, all they need is a little tidbit of information to move on, just a little confidence to move forward. Other people like to get step-by-step instructions. Some people are more visual, so they want to see some screenshots along the way. And again, what's even more popular these days on the web is video, showing people exactly, sort of demonstrating exactly how to get something done. Now, a user, while they're here, they can also go browse all of our categories here: introduction, list and library, help, sites, pages, workflows, etc. Currently in security. Another thing that the support team can do, so if you're on sort of the support side of things, you can, if somebody's asking for help, maybe they didn't find what they needed Content Panda, or they didn't spend the time to browse, or they just remember calling the helpful support desk in the past, you can go find a topic that is relevant to their question or answers a question and just click email, and that'll pop open a new, I don't have my Outlook open. I don't have my Outlook open, but what that does is it pops open an email and you can send it to the user and it links directly to the topic that you've found for them. Okay, so that's a quick overview of Content Panda. What I'm going to do now is what a lot of people are doing now, and that is going over here and finding all of these cool applications in their Microsoft Office 365 app launcher. We're going to just jump right into Teams. Now, I've configured Content Panda to sort of onboard users as Microsoft is launching these new applications. It's best to make sure that there's some content there. If any of you have probably had this experience, it's that, that users are probably already asking, how do I use this Microsoft Teams tool? So the first time I'm here, there's a pop-up that says, hey, take a quick tour. This is a video that was developed by Microsoft. So let me mute that. Because Microsoft's doing a really good job now of putting together content to support the Office 365 applications. Part of the reason for that is, these applications aren't changing every 3 years with a new version. These applications are changing week by week. Microsoft is making updates. And as Heather mentioned, the user voice section on Microsoft's site is collecting ideas and information and requests and incorporating those into this cloud-based technology very rapidly. So we're keeping up to date with that, and we're pushing information in month by month to make sure that when your users or yourself see changes, there's already help content available to you. Now again, like I showed you over on SharePoint, there's a next button here. So this is going to give me kind of a tour. I click next. I've got here's where I should get started. So click activity to see what's been going on since I left the last time. That'll keep me up to date on what's going on. If I click next, here's my go-to guide. So if I'm creating my own team, this video is a great place to start. Another video. Now these videos, they do play in line, but you can also go full screen, or you can go to YouTube and watch it in full screen, or watch a whole series of videos. But if I want to create a new team and get the most out of Microsoft Teams, this is a great bit of information for me to kind of understand holistically what Teams does. I click next. And now this is, I find this to be a very powerful, on our team at Content Panda, we sort of, just busy doing our day-to-day thing, and email was sort of our default way to communicate with each other on the team, plus, store files and share files in SharePoint. But with Teams, we've just kind of adopted in the last few months this meetings. Meetings is really cool. You can chat, you can video, you can share screens, you can start a meeting instantly with your teammates, anybody in your organization. So another kind of nice little tidbit to introduce you to the new features. And finally, I've configured this just to say, hey, okay, this was your first time here. We'll show you around. If you need any more, just click Panda on the right margin of the screen to turn on context-sensitive help, access training, and more information about contacting our support team. So I'll close that. And I want to go through just a couple of quick use cases. Let's say, for example, I wanted to, actually, let me go ahead and I'm going to delete this guy so I can show you how this works. All right, back at conversation. So let's say, for example, I want to get a little bit of training because I've got this marketing campaign team here. And I want to be able to, our marketing team we've kind of decided, hey, we've got some tasks we really need to track. And we hear that Microsoft Planner is really good for that. I'm not quite sure what to do. I can go search the web and try to find information. Or, like that last dialogue said, I can click Content Panda, and I can browse application training, turn on help, or get support from my team. Let's just click browse application training first. And here's what is Microsoft Teams, and some links to some external content and some video. Go-to guide for team owners, overview of teams and channels. Let's see, I really want to get to my apps and tools here. So if I click on that, I can watch a video that shows me how to use this tab interface. So there's a real opportunity here for users just to kind of, if they spend even a half hour exploring pre-configured topics, they'll spend, that's way quicker than spending multiple hours sort of navigating around the internet trying to figure out what is relevant. We already know, and we've already provided this content to make sure that the most critical questions that users have are getting answered right here in this interface. Let me move my little GoToMeeting control out of the way so I can get back to this. Okay, there we go. Oh, come on, get out of my way. All right, here we go. So the other thing we can do is just turn on help. Again, this just goes through and scours the entire interface for any sort of help content that's available. In this case, I'm just going to click right here on this little plus sign, which tells me I can add tabs. I want to add a planner tab to this team channel, so I'm going to click that link. And again, like I mentioned, Microsoft has been doing putting together some really great content. It's not always easy to find, but we're doing that work for you. And if you find content that, or you have content that's really relevant to your users, you can create your own Panda panels and add that as you go as well. We've sort of got the generic stuff that talks about the application, but if you have something that's really sort of in the context of your organization or your policies or your best practices, you can add that as well. So this says I need to click the plus, I need to add a tab, select planner, and so on. So I'm going to go show you guys how cool this is. This is one of my favorite features of Microsoft Teams. We use it every day. I click within my marketing campaign here. I'm just going to click the plus. I'm going to add planner. If anybody's ever used Trello or Slack, I guess there's some I think there's some things you might recognize here. But let's see. I want to create a new one called Marketing Team Tasks, and just hit save. And this is going to go out and create a new planner. And the first thing I want to do is for our marketing team is schedule next webinar. Set a due date. We're going to do that by Monday, and I'm going to assign it to somebody. Assign it to Simeon, and let's go create another one. Now, I think do that right? Add task. Okay. So I can keep adding tasks here, and I can also add buckets. So this is in our to-do list, which is just default. But I want to add a new bucket. This is going to be called let's call it the backlog. This is for items that we know we want a new website, but we don't know when we want to create the new website yet, but we want to make sure that it's in the list, sort of keep notes of what the things we want to do in the future. And then when we're ready, we can drag those over here in the to-do, and then we can assign that to somebody and do all that fun stuff. Clicking on the task, I can go in here and set the status, set the start date, the due date, some description. I can add files to this if I want to add attachments and add comments and keep a running sort of ledger of input from the rest of the team. I can also do some cool categorization. So if you start getting really complex here, you can color code some of these so you know if they're maybe if they're something that needs to get assigned to another team, or they're in some sort of category that's relevant to your business process. All right, the other thing I want to do here is I want to add a video. So this interface here inside this team channel is really powerful. Before I go add the video, I just want to mention there are so many services that Microsoft is now providing access to that you can pull in. If some of your departments have used other tools that are easily accessible, SaaS tools that are out there, you can just plug into those and bring that content right inside your team. The ones that I find the most valuable are just bringing in a document library, an Excel file, building forms in here, Power BI analytics if you're watching some market trends or sales numbers, things like that. Excuse me. In this case, I'm going to select stream, and I'm going to add a video. And since we're going to this cool drone conference, I thought this would be relevant. I'm just going to search my channel. Here's my asteroid drone video, and I can hit save. Now you can put a whole channel, a video channel, in here if you want, or you can put in just a single video. It's really up to you. This is a video I took at my house a few weeks ago that shows this new capability of our drone that we're going to take to market. And then let's see here, just show you can have conversations here if I wanted to send a message to somebody. You guys have done this on probably Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. So this is now coming into kind of the corporate business. If you've ever used Yammer before, very similar. I'm going to send a note to Simeon, so he'll get notified. Check out the new drone video. So Teams kind of, I've been doing SharePoint since, well, I guess since before it was called SharePoint, when I worked on the SharePoint team at Microsoft in '98. And when you think, if you've used SharePoint and you're pretty familiar with it, you can see how Teams is sort of grabbing a bunch of the components from SharePoint. And one of the templates within SharePoint was always called a team site. And that's kind of what this is sort of the evolution of, the calendar, the note board, the document library, or creating a task list, but in a new sort of modern way, which can be accessed through mobile. There's a mobile app for it. There's a desktop app. And again, if you're users, if you kind of try this out with Content Panda, you can bring in all of this great training content and show folks how to use this tool. I'm trying to think if there's something else I wanted to show you guys here. Oh, I did want to mention a couple of things. Number one, some folks will ask us, you know, hey, they'll mention, hey, we really love this Content Panda concept, but you know, we're not 12-year-olds. Can we do something about these pandas? And the answer is yes. It's very, very easy to go in here as an administrator inside Content Panda, log in, and you can just go change the icons here. So you can, and we support multiple languages, so you can add whatever language you want. You can change the dictionary. Every single one of these words that you see in our user interface can be changed inside the dictionary. So it's totally configurable. You can make it your own. In fact, if you wanted to go overwrite it with all your own styles, you can do that. You can put the panda or whatever icon you decide over on the left-hand side of the screen, put it closer to the top or the bottom. Just a lot of flexibility here. And you can make this change in one place, and it'll affect the Content Panda experience across all of your Office 365 apps. And I think that's I think where I kind of want to leave off. We're really excited to launch this and make it available. If you have any more questions, please get a hold of us. I'd love to sit down if you do want to do a one-on-one demo, or you want to kind of dig into the technology or the platform and understand how you can go create your own content. More than happy to do that. And that is the demo. Thank you.
Oh, I'm on mute still, so there we go. So anyway, we wanted to say thank you and put up a slide so you could see where you could schedule a demo with us and get more information and all that fun sort of thing, where we are on Twitter and our blog and all of our case studies and white papers and all of that. Wanted to see if anybody on the call had any questions for us. I'm looking in the question dealio and wanted to say hello. So any questions from the crowd? I'm trying to see here. Any questions from all of you? Let's see. Getting in here. I don't know. I don't see any questions. So I think. Thank you, Simeon, for that lovely demo, by the way. And yeah, so Content Panda, we started our journey with SharePoint, and we just love working with our customers and are learning all the time about the different use cases they have. And one of the things that I think they really love is the customizations and flexibility we have with content. People spend a lot of time and energy on wikis and FAQs and knowledge bases and all that sort of thing, governance policies, and all of those different things that need to be communicated out, to be having the ability of putting them in context, contextualized right there at their fingertips is a really powerful piece of what we bring to the table. And we're really excited about bringing it in for Microsoft Teams, and not only for Microsoft Teams, but across the entire Office 365 online stack. So for Planner and for OneNote, which is probably my favorite product. Sorry, SharePoint, I love you so much, but OneNote is my secret love. So when you're thinking about having to send people to training, for days and days on end, I mean, sending people to training is good, and it is a piece of it, but I think when you get back from training, that's when people forget things. And so having something that's right there at your fingertips, it's not only just the Panda panels that fly out, but you also have that entire learning system behind it. Some people call that an LMS, that's there for them to learn. And Simeon went into some of the LMS elements there, but the other thing is that has about 4 different ways that you can learn. One is a video that has no sound, so that you can just listen. Say you're in a larger office and want to just watch something. Then there are instructor-led videos, and then there's these other ones that are called computer-based training, which are actually module after module after module with a learning test at the end. So we definitely want to make sure that we're addressing all the different types and ways to learn, and then giving people the opportunity to have that on-demand training with our Combined Knowledge Partnership, that text help that's at your fingertips by clicking the Panda. We always hear from IT departments that say, one of our use cases was that in an IT department, put Content Panda on before a migration, and then had it so that it was there after. And they did an A/B test of those who had Panda and those who hadn't. And the support tickets were so much higher. And most of the time, the support tickets were, I can't find, how do I do this? Where is that? So that first level of just when you're stuck, the Content Panda helps people when they're stuck. And then it also alleviates the support tickets so that IT departments can concentrate on the bigger things that they need to be concentrating on. So, and also IT departments actually kind of use Content Panda as their learning and knowledge base in a lot of ways as well. So they have Content Panda. So when somebody asks them a question, a lot of the times they'll go click the Panda. Another feature is that you can, look at a topic, and a lot of times, in the Support Plus area, you can email somebody a link and say, hey, I saw you had this report or the support ticket, and you know what? Here's the link to it, and it comes through the LMS system, so you can get back there quickly and learn a little bit more that way too. So we're really excited about bringing Content Panda not only to our darling SharePoint customers and partners, but we're really excited to have it being opened up to all of Office 365. So anyway, that was about it for today. And again, if you want to get a hold of us, this is how you can do that. This presentation will be available on demand, and we will be up again first week of October with another webinar that will be announced shortly. And we really appreciate your time, and thank you for coming. And check us out on social media too, and we have lots of stuff going on, and we're pushing lots of good content out there from all of our partners and friends and colleagues in the biz. So thank you so much. Simeon, thank you for that demo. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and everybody have a wonderful day, and contentpanda.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you.